What's happening, everyone? Um, yeah, man, I just felt the urge to go live today. It's New Year's Eve. Wanted to ring in the new year by declaring war.
I'm a war president. I make decisions here in the Oval Office in foreign policy matters with war on my mind.
We have a rocket launcher. They have a rocket. We have a rocket. We have a rocket, the rocket launcher. We are at war. We are at with ourselves. With ourselves. We are at war. We are at with ourselves. With ourselves. We're gonna bomb them. What children and women? What a lot of collateral damage in a moment is coming. They had it coming. What? Well, I've been summing it up, and I've been counting all the ways that I hate your guts. I'm number one in charge of big bombing. Boys, I've been bombing, storming Norman's armies coming to Saddam 'em. Gomorrah and Saddam 'em. Show 'em who's royal. Boy, will we take oil from 'em? Yup, we're gonna dumb 'em. Shoot your sons and televise the revolution, so you know who is the one that's bombing you. Bomb 'em. Release Martin Lockheed on 'em. What beautiful ballistics. Try not to bleed on 'em. Yup, we're gonna run 'em. Nagasaki son 'em. Atomically bomb 'em and take Saki from 'em. Yup, we're gonna done 'em. When in Rome, it's so common like rumors of war. I told you. We are at war. We are at with ourselves. With ourselves. We are at war. We are at with ourselves. With ourselves. With ourselves. We are at war. We are at with ourselves. With ourselves. We are at war. We are at with ourselves. With ourselves. We're gonna bomb them. Radical Islam, a mass that ass. You can feel us coming. We're suicidal bombing. Pardon, is that a rocket in your pocket, or you just happy to see us bombing? We're bombing shit to shift the ownership from Egypt to the Gaza Strip. We're straight bombing. Bombing like Israelis 7 days a week. Cause rarely do we keep Sabbath day holy enough to not bombing. World War III on them. War games, push pawns on them to die, while the knights checkmate on them. Kingdom coming to an end. I'm drumming love battle songs of how bad I wanna crush and bomb them. Embalm them, then again, bomb them again. And for the live commentary, tune to CNN. For the dead coverage of me bombing them. A star-spangled harmony to peace. We'll have peace after I'm done bombing. Them have a rocket, hey, we have a rocket. What? We have a rocket, the rocket launcher. Them have a rocket, hey, we have a rocket. Whoa. We have a rocket, the rocket launcher. Them have a rocket, hey, we have a rocket. What? We have a rocket, the rocket launcher. Them have a rocket. Whoa. We have a rocket, hey, we have a rocket, the rocket launchers. We are at war, we are at with ourselves, with ourselves. We are at war, we are at with ourselves, with ourselves. We are at war, we are at with ourselves, with ourselves. We are at war, we are at with ourselves, with ourselves. We are at war, and I got the scar to show. Hey, look, y'all, it's psychological like apocalypse, y'all. It's the rise and the fall of man. It was orchestrated by his own hand, and damn, time to build up Noah's Ark again to withstand the fire next time we burn the land. And my rocket launcher goes bang, and just a few years ago, you was my man. And we shot Russians together. Now discussions are just like whatever, yeah, whatever. Cause we could declare war is over, but still keep bringing home more dead soldiers. When peace is wartime, ceases our kind to live on this planet. Just one hot granite in space, with intimations of a human race at war with itself that caused it itself when...
Yeah, so, we are at war. It's the FBA Tether war. There's a lot going on in these YouTube streets. And, the start of the new year, I think it's a good time for me to put my voice out there. And just, give my opinion on a few things. And, the main thing that I think should be first understood is, just exactly, what a tether is and FBA. FBA are foundational Black Americans who trace their lineage to slavery in America, who have slave ancestors here in America and not anywhere else. Or at least I think they don't count anywhere else. And then a tether is anyone that's an immigrant, either from Africa or the Caribbean, mainly Black immigrants that come to America on what they feel is on their backs, on their fight for, freedom in America and their fight for civil rights. And they feel that immigrants come here and take advantage of those things. And not just that, it would be okay if it was just that, but they feel that these immigrants that do come here, they're particularly speaking to immigrants who they feel once they're here and take advantage of what FBA has achieved for them, they then turn around and do things like not support FBA claims for reparations, which is, and I think it can all be summarized around that. That's their main thing, or that's what a tether is someone who undermines the FBA's claim for reparations. People may, disagree and say, it's more than just reparations, but I think reparations is the foundation on which the whole FBA ideology is built around. So that's where we're at with it. And as a tether myself, because I do think that I fit that category. I am an immigrant who came here, became an American citizen, and I don't support the idea of reparations, whether it's here in America or in Jamaica. I just don't support that idea, but that's something for a different show, I think, or a different discussion. But but my concern, and the reason why I say that, we are at war, and this is intellectual war, if you will. But the reason that I say that is because I'm challenging this idea that it was on the backs of FBA that Caribbean and African immigrants got to come here. And that we are just kind of leeching off of FBA's accomplishments here and then undermining them. So I'm absolutely going to challenge that. And the reason I'm challenging it is because, I feel that they're not taking into consideration what FBA has gotten off of the backs of Caribbean and African immigrants, or Caribbean and African people in general. What about what FBA owes to the Caribbean and to Africa? We should try to remember that this is a give and take relationship. It's not one-way traffic with support. It's a two-way street. And it's very important that we remember that and not try to, downplay each other's contribution, and I think and that's where the discussion is going to be. And and again, that's why I say we are at war.
We are at war. We are with ourselves. With ourselves. We are at war. We are with ourselves. With ourselves. We're on a bomb. What children and women? What a lot of collateral damage in a moment is coming. They had it coming. What? Well, I've been summing it up, and I've been counting all the ways that I hate your guts. I'm number one in charge of big bombing. Boys, I've been bombing, storming, Norman's armies coming to Saddam. Gomorrah and Saddam, show 'em who's royal. Boy, will we take oil from them? Yup, we're gonna dumb them. Shoot your sons and televise the revolution so you know who is the one that's bombing you. Bomb them. Release Martin Lockheed on them. What beautiful ballistics. Try not to bleed on them. Yup, we're gonna run them. Nagasaki son 'em, atomically bomb 'em, and take Saki from 'em. Yup, we're gonna dawn 'em. When in Rome, it's so common like rumors of war. I told you, we are at war. We are at with ourselves, with ourselves. We are at war. We are at with ourselves, with ourselves. We are at war. We are at with ourselves, with ourselves. We are at war. We are at with ourselves. We're gonna bomb 'em, radical Islam 'em, a mass that ass. You can feel us coming. We're suicidal bombing. Pardon, is that a rocket in your pocket, or you just happy to see us bombing? We're bombing shit to shift the ownership from Egypt to the Gaza Strip. We're straight bombing. Bombing like Israelis 7 days a week, cause rarely do we keep Sabbath day holy enough to not bombing. World War III on them, war games, push pawns on them to die, while the nights checkmate on them. Kingdom coming to an end. I'm drumming love battle songs of how bad I wanna crush and bomb them. Embalm them, then again, bomb them again. And for the live commentary, tune to CNN. For the dead coverage of me bombing them. A star-spangled harmony in the peace. We'll have peace after I'm done bombing. Them have a rocket, hey, we have a rocket. What? We are gonna rocket, the rocket launcher. Them have a rocket, hey, we have a rocket. Whoa. We are gonna rocket, the rocket launcher. Them have a rocket, hey, we have a rocket. What? We are gonna rocket, the rocket launcher. Them have a rocket. Whoa. We have a rocket, hey, we are gonna rocket, the rocket launchers. We are at war, we are at with ourselves, with ourselves. We are at war, we are at with ourselves, with ourselves.
Yeah, man. So, let's continue with this war with ourselves. So the question I asked, I did like some really intensive research for this. I went to ChatGPT, and the question asked was, did the Caribbean influence the abolitionist movement in America? Did the Caribbean influence the abolitionist movement in America? That's the question asked to ChatGPT, and I just want to go through what ChatGPT said. Because I think it's really telling. So it says, yes, the Caribbean significantly influenced the abolitionist movement in America. Several factors connected to the Caribbean played a role in shaping American abolitionism. Number one, so let me just reiterate. It says the Caribbean significantly influenced America's abolition movement, and that's important, that it's not just a small role, it's a significant role that the Caribbean played in fighting against slavery. So here are the factors that it points to. It says, number one, revolts and resistance in the Caribbean. The Haitian Revolution from 1791 to 1804. The successful slave revolt in Saint Dominique, now Haiti, was a pivotal moment. It demonstrated that enslaved people could overthrow a brutal system, inspiring abolitionists and striking fear into slaveholders. Right, and let me read that again. So it's the Haitian Revolution, and it says it demonstrated that enslaved people could overthrow a brutal system, right? It demonstrated that to them. That's what they looked to see that this can actually be done, and it inspired abolitionists and struck fear into slaveholders. And that's really important. Haitians' independence became a powerful symbol of freedom and resistance. So what happened in Haiti was a symbol of freedom and resistance for slaves in America, for slaves and abolitionists in America. So that's one, the Haitian Revolution. Number two, other rebellions in Jamaica, Barbados, and other Caribbean colonies highlighted the brutality of slavery and the determination of the enslaved to resist oppression. So there were revolts and rebellions going on all over the Caribbean, which highlighted, which they say highlighted just the savagery and the brutality of slavery, which then spread into the Americas and into England and Europe. And that's where they started to see just how brutal slavery was, and which kind of triggered the abolition movement, if not strengthened it. Not just strengthened it, it may have even triggered it. The next piece spoken about is the British abolition and the Caribbean. So the first one are the revolts in the Caribbean, and then there are British abolition and the Caribbean. The British Empire, this is what ChatGPT says. It says the British Empire abolished slavery in 1833, largely due to abolitionist efforts supported by resistance in its Caribbean colonies. And, keep in mind, 1833, that's before 1865, which is when I believe slaves in America were emancipated, 1865. So that's decades before. So people in the Caribbean earned their freedom decades before slaves in the Americas. And their freedom was due, it says, largely because of abolitionist efforts, which were supported by resistance in those Caribbean colonies. So there would be no abolition. The abolition movement would not have been successful had it not been for those resistance movements in the Caribbean, the rebellions that were going on. And it says this provided a model for American abolitionists and strengthened their arguments against slavery in the US. So it actually was the model that American abolitionists used to start their movement. What happened in the Caribbean was their model. And so, when FBA try to speak as if it's just them doing for immigrants, you really have to rethink that. The American abolitionists and the American rebels were looking at the Caribbean and copying what was going on to the Caribbean. So it can be stated that they got their urge to fight. The American abolitionists and the American rebels, slave rebels that led those rebellions, got their urge to fight by looking to the Caribbean. And it was a great inspiration. So y'all took your inspiration from us, but for some reason, all y'all want to focus on is what the Caribbean is taken from y'all. You may want to look a little deeper into history to see really what our true connection is. It also goes on to say the emancipation of enslaved people in British colonies shows that ending slavery was economically and socially possible, countering pro-slavery claims in America. And that's really deep. You know what I'm saying? It says that what happened in those British colonies in the Caribbean showed that ending slavery was even possible, both economically and socially, right? And that's what was used to counter pro-slavery claims in America. Because in America, they were being taught that, rebellion wasn't possible at all. It was too much. You'll never win. But because of what happened in the Caribbean, that's when they even knew that this was even possible. Or that's what made it known to them that this was possible. That's what strengthened that's what gave them the strength to say, we're going to do this and we're going to win. So that, FBA really needs to reconsider what they're talking about. It's not just a give thing here. you've gotten more from the Caribbean. This may be worth more than what you're talking about. And we may see that once we continue. But let's just continue. Next thing ChatGPT mentions is the Caribbean abolitionists and intellectual influence. It says Caribbean thinkers, writers, and activists contributed to the transatlantic abolitionist movement. Figures like Olada Equiano, I think he also went by Gustavo Bassa, who wrote about his experiences as an enslaved person, influenced public opinion on both sides of the Atlantic. And Equiano was from Nigeria. He was a Nigerian, and he was an abolitionist. And, he also was very influential among abolitionist movements in the Caribbean and in Europe, as well as America. And not just him, he had, I think he was down with a crew called the Sons of Africa, and they played a great deal. And he lived, if I'm not mistaken, he may have lived even before the abolition movement in the Caribbean started. I think he was one of those ones that can be said to have influenced it a great deal as well. So, put some respect on Africans, on the Africans' name as well, because again, these are Nigerians that taught us how to be abolitionists and how to fight against these things. And if not taught us, at least they were there helping out and being very influential. It says the stories of Caribbean abolition and emancipation were widely circulated in American abolitionist literature. So what was going on in the Caribbean, and also with Equiano, was all over the literature that was being spread in America, in order to build up that abolition movement. You know what I'm saying? The Caribbean literally influenced and really shook up the Americans to make them realize that this is possible. And again, just how important that is, I think just cannot be understated or overstated. Trade and communication. It's going to be just a couple more. The interconnectedness of the Atlantic world meant that ideas, news, and abolitionist materials traveled between the Caribbean and the US. This flow of information helped spread anti-slavery sentiment, which is just a reiteration of just saying, just information going back and forth is what was happening. This was not just FBA looking out for everybody, doing everything by themselves. There was actually a time when y'all were just taking seriously, but you don't hear us talking about, listen, we taught you how to fight. You know what I'm saying? We taught you how to fight against slavery. If it wasn't for what was going on in the Caribbean, you may still be enslaved. We taught you how to fight. And that's taking a lot more than whatever you claim that Caribbeans are taking from you. You may want to say thank you at some point, because again, we taught you how to fight against abolitionists. I'm sorry, not against abolitionists. We taught you how to be abolitionists. We taught you how to be rebellious. We taught you how to revolt. You look to us for those things. We taught you that it was possible to win. We taught you that. Caribbeans taught you that. So please, again, when you start downplaying and start thinking you're more important than anyone else, you really need to revisit history. American, also, just to continue with ChatGPT, economic and social comparisons. American abolitionists often pointed to the Caribbean to argue that societies could transition away from slavery without total economic collapse, challenging the entrenched economic interest in the US. So again, abolitionists in the Caribbean pointed to abolitionists in America pointed to the Caribbean to argue that societies could actually move away from slavery without economic collapse. They taught you, they showed you that. If it wasn't for that, you would probably still be enslaved. Say thank you, maybe. Maybe. In these ways, the Caribbean served as both a practical and symbolic influence on the American abolitionist movement, right? That's the last statement that ChatGPT puts up. And what I want to point out is what it says is that it served as both a practical and a symbolic influence. So this wasn't just symbolic, right? It wasn't just, oh, they looked to Haiti and Jamaica and Barbados. They looked at what was going on as a symbol and then decided that they could do it. No, it was also, they had practical influence, which means that there were Caribbean people who were actually involved in those abolitionist movement, because freedom came in the Caribbean decades before in the Americas. And, you know, a lot of Caribbean people who were migrating to the Americas to also help with those abolitionist movements, migrating into Europe to help those abolitionist movements, writing in their newspapers. So again, this was actually hands-on. That's what it means when it says it's practical. It's not just symbolic. It's both a practical influence and symbolic. So, you know, we can have this fight. It's really a shame that we have to have this fight, but I think the fight is good for us to really remind each other of who we are and, you know, where we stand. Caribbean people are not just here leeching off of what you've gotten from fighting for what you fought for. Caribbean immigrants, Caribbean people taught you how to fight. They taught you that you could actually fight. They taught you that you could actually fight and win. Then they taught you how to fight. They taught you that you could fight and win, taught you that you could fight, and then taught you how to fight. Right? And not only did they teach you how to fight, they fought alongside you. And now it's, oh, you're just leeching? Really? Really? That's interesting. You know, and it's the same with civil rights. I do want to talk about civil rights as well, the Caribbean influence on civil rights in America. Because I also want to highlight that this was not just a one-way traffic where FBA was FBA doing stuff and getting stuff and allowing immigrants. It wasn't like that. And y'all really need to stop. It's a shame that y'all are doing this, but if it's a war you want, it's a war you're going to get. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, I'm gonna let this song ride out a little bit, and I'm gonna take a little break. And then I'm gonna come back and we'll talk a little bit about civil rights. But you know, we're at war.
We are at war. We are with ourselves. With ourselves. We are at war. We are with ourselves. With ourselves. We're on a bomb. What children and women? What a lot of collateral damage in a moment is coming. They had it coming. What? Well, I've been summing it up, and I've been counting all the ways that I hate your guts. I'm number one in charge of big bombing. Boys, I've been bombing, storming Norman's armies coming to Saddam 'em. Gomorrah and Saddam 'em. Show 'em who's royal. Boy, will we take oil from 'em? Yup, we're gonna dumb 'em. Shoot your sons and televise the revolution, so you know who is the one that's bombing you. Bomb 'em. Release Martin Lockheed on 'em. What beautiful ballistics. Try not to bleed on 'em. Yup, we're gonna run 'em. Nagasaki son 'em. Atomically bomb 'em and take Saki from 'em. Yup, we're gonna done 'em. When in Rome, it's so common like rumors of war. I told you. We are at war. We are at with ourselves. With ourselves. We are at war. We are at with ourselves. With ourselves. We are at war. We are at with ourselves. With ourselves. We are at war. We are at with ourselves. With ourselves. We're gonna bomb 'em. Radical Islam 'em. A mask that ass. You can feel us coming. We'll suicidal bombing. Pardon, is that a rocket in your pocket, or you just happy to see us bombing? We're bombing shit to shift the ownership from Egypt to the Gaza Strip. We're straight bombing. Bombing like Israeli 7 days a week, cause rarely do we keep Sabbath day holy enough to not bombing. World War III on them, war games, push pawns on them to die, while the knights checkmate on them. Kingdom coming to an end, I'm drumming love battle songs of how bad I wanna crush and bomb them. Embalm them, then again, bomb them again. And for the live commentary, tune to CNN for the dead coverage of me bombing them. A star-spangled harming in the peace, we'll have peace after I'm done bombing. Them have a rocket, hey, we have a rocket. What? We are gonna rocket, the rocket launcher. Them have a rocket, hey, we have a rocket. Whoa. We are gonna rocket, the rocket launcher. Them have a rocket, hey, we have a rocket. What? We are gonna rocket, the rocket launcher. Them have a rocket. Whoa. We have a rocket, hey, we are gonna rocket, the rocket launcher. We are at war, we are at war with ourselves. We are at war, we are at war with ourselves.
Yeah, we certainly are at war with ourselves. But you know, we didn't bring this war down. It ain't on Caribbean people. You know what I'm saying? But if it's a war, you want war. If I war, then I war. All right. So the next question I asked ChatGPT, did Caribbean people fight for civil rights in America? And I'm sure everybody knows the answer to that. I probably didn't even need to ask ChatGPT. So again, the question was, did Caribbean people fight for civil rights in America? And the answer, yes. People of Caribbean descent have played a significant role in the fight for civil rights in America. A significant role. Significant. Their contributions span multiple eras and encompass activism, leadership, and cultural influence. If you read that again, their contributions span multiple eras and encompass activism, leadership, and cultural influence. Here are some key examples of Caribbean involvement in the U.S. civil rights struggle. 1. Early activists of Caribbean descent. Marcus Garvey, Jamaica. Garvey, born in Jamaica, founded the Universal Negro Improvement Association in 1914 and became a key figure in the Pan-Africanist and Black empowerment movements in America. You cannot talk Pan-Africanism without bringing up Marcus. It's impossible. You cannot do it. Any Pan-Africanist that does not have respect for Marcus is no true Pan-Africanist. Marcus Garvey should be the symbol of Pan-Africanism, and he's a Jamaican. You know what I'm saying? It looks as if Jamaicans are to Pan-Africanism what Jamaicans are to hip-hop. You see what I'm saying? There's a pattern going on there. You know what I'm saying? It's no coincidence. But back to Garvey, it says his Back to Africa philosophy influenced later civil rights leaders, including Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. And Malcolm and Martin are the darlings of FBA. You know what I'm saying? Regardless of which side of the FBA coin you're looking at, whether you're talking about the Black Power side of FBA or the civil rights integrationist side of FBA, Malcolm and Martin are your standards, and they were influenced by Marcus. His philosophy is what it says. Helped to influence them. Cyril Briggs, another Caribbean from Nevis, founder of the African Blood Brotherhood, a radical organization in the early 20th century. Briggs worked to address racial inequality and promote socialism as a pathway to Black liberation. Again, there's Pan-Africanism, I believe, and even the Black Power movement. Socialism is tied into both of those in a big way. And here again, we have another Caribbean person who's also influencing civil rights in that way. Other key figures in civil rights movement: Malcolm X, who is of Grenadian ancestry. Although born in the U.S., Malcolm X's mother, Louise Little, was from Grenada. Malcolm X's advocacy for Black nationalism, self-determination, and human rights deeply shaped the civil rights movement. So, you know, if this was really a war, you can't have Malcolm. You know what I'm saying? Malcolm would qualify as a tether in your eyes, because Malcolm is of Caribbean ancestry, right? And he was undermining FBA, because he was undermining Martin Luther King and his movement. So really and truly, you can't have Malcolm. We want Malcolm back. All right? If it's gonna go like that. So you can't have him. Malcolm is ours. How you like me now? How you like that? We are at war. All right. So it goes from Malcolm. Next it goes to Harry Belafonte. The iconic singer and actor was a close confidant of Martin Luther King Jr. and a significant financial supporter of the civil rights movement. A significant financial supporter. Harry Belafonte, another Jamaican. You know what I'm saying? He was giving y'all, this is Jamaican money. He instead of sending his money back to Jamaica, he was giving it to the civil rights movement. You know, did y'all say thanks to Harry yet? Imagine, Harry Belafonte was a strong financial supporter of civil rights, right? You know, when civil rights groups came to Harry, what did Harry say? Him said, yo. Him say, see day, yo. Why may I tell you? Now what are y'all saying? Y'all say gwe. Y'all say gwe. Y'all say gwe. Y'all say gwe, yo. That's crazy. That's crazy. Harry said, "Hey yo, uno segue yo." What kind of thing that? What kind of thing is this? Stokely Carmichael from Trinidad. Carmichael, later Kwame Ture, was a leader in the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, or SNCC, and a prominent figure in the Black Power movement. There is no Black Power movement without Kwame Ture. As certainly as Marcus can be the symbol of Pan-Africanism, Kwame Ture is the symbol of Black Power. Like, those are facts. And both of these people are Caribbean. Are you kidding me? And y'all are here talking about how we're just taking. Like, that's really, like, that makes y'all look like really ungrateful, like just real ingrates. And it really is, you know, it's really sad that you really have to be reminded of who you are and who we are. You know what I'm saying? But it is what it is. Who raise emphasis on self-determination and pride in African heritage inspired many. And who's gonna question that? So next it goes into speaking about grassroots activism and labor movements. It says many Caribbean immigrants participated in labor movements that intersected with civil rights, particularly in the urban centers like New York, Miami, and Chicago. They worked to address housing discrimination, worker exploitation, and segregation. So this talk, so all you talk about, oh, you immigrants come here, take advantage of civil rights that we want. It wasn't just you. It wasn't just you, bro. You need to really sit down and just calm down a little bit. You know what I'm saying? I know you mad about some things, but sit down. You're doing too much. It wasn't just you. Let me say it again. Many Caribbean immigrants participated in labor movements that intersected with civil rights, particularly in urban centers like New York, Miami, and Chicago. They worked to address housing discrimination, worker exploitation, and segregation. There is no aspect of civil rights that Caribbean people were not involved with. You know what I'm saying? And if Caribbean people won rights in America because of civil rights, if immigrant Caribbean people got to come here off of the backs of the civil rights movement, it's off of the backs of those Caribbean people that worked in that civil rights movement, not necessarily just y'all. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't put us in the position where we're gonna say y'all had nothing to do with it. You know what I mean? Because we want to respect each other. But stop saying we're just leeching off of y'all. You're being disrespectful to the people that were there with y'all. Remember, keep in mind, we didn't just teach you how to fight. We taught you that you could fight. And then after that, we fought along with you. We taught you that you could fight and win. We taught you that you could fight and win. Then we taught you how to fight. Then we fought alongside you. And then y'all want to call us leeches? Check yourselves. Really, really, check yourselves. Cultural and intellectual contributions. Caribbean intellectuals like Claude McKay, Jamaican, a key figure in Harlem Renaissance, used poetry and literature to confront racism and celebrate Black identity. You can't even talk about Harlem Renaissance without the Bronx and Harlem was a haven for Caribbean people. There's no Harlem Renaissance. There's no none of that without mentioning Caribbean people. Y'all are bugging. Caribbean communities in cities like New York, example Harlem and Brooklyn, and the Bronx, provided vibrant cultural and intellectual hubs that supported civil rights activism. You know what I mean? So, I think that just has to speak for itself. There is no civil rights movement without mentioning Caribbean people. You can't do it. And why would you even want to try to do it? Influence on modern movements. Today, Caribbean Americans continue to contribute to racial justice movements. Figures like Congresswoman Shirley Chisholm, Barbadian and Guyanese descent, became trailblazers as she was the first Black woman elected to Congress and ran for president in 1972. The first Black woman elected to Congress. And then the first Black woman to run for president was a Caribbean woman. Y'all kidding me? Are y'all kidding me? Eh? We just had Kamala the other day. She's a Jamaican also, running for president. You know what I'm saying? Barack was, they call Barack the first Black president, but we all know what Barack was not. You know what Barack was not? FBA. Barack was not FBA. Y'all need to stop that, for one. You know what I'm saying? You know what y'all didn't care about with either Barack or Kamala? Y'all didn't care that they were Tethers. But they are. Right? All that matters was they were Black. Y'all supported them 90%. Y'all voted for them 90% of y'all. Being a Tether didn't matter. All that mattered was you had a Black president. But now it matters. Now it matters. Well, if it matters, we're going home and we're taking our Barack with us. And we ain't playing no more. We ain't playing with y'all. But let me not get distracted. The first Black woman to run for president and the first Black woman elected to Congress was a Caribbean. Shirley Chisholm. Put some respect on it. Caribbean immigrants and their descendants have long been integral to the civil rights struggle in America, blending their unique histories of resistance and anti-colonial activism with the broader fight against racism and inequality in the United States. What else does ChatGPT need to say to y'all? You know what I'm saying? What else? Y'all need to really, and over what? Over who? Tariq Nasheed? This is your king? This is your king? Tariq Nasheed? You're going to sacrifice Shirley Chisholm. You're going to sacrifice Claude McKay. You're going to sacrifice Malcolm X, Stokely Carmichael, Martin Luther King Jr. You're going to sacrifice Harry Belafonte. You're going to sacrifice Marcus Garvey. For who? Tariq Nasheed. Not only are you willing to give up Kamala and Barack that you voted for 90% because they meant so much to you, but you're willing to sacrifice people like Alexander Hamilton. You know, the guy they did the whole show about, the whole Broadway show. He was a Caribbean from Nevis, right? And he helped to shape this country. He's one of the main people that helped to shape America. So Caribbean people aren't just here leeching. We're here shaping. We're shaping this country as well, and we've always been shaping this country. You're willing to sacrifice men like James Weldon Johnson, who is, you know, among the leading civil rights activists. But he has roots in the Bahamas. You're willing to give up. And by the way, James Weldon Johnson just so happened to be the writer of the Black National Anthem. A Tether wrote the Black National Anthem. Isn't that something? You're gonna have to get a new anthem. You're gonna, lucky for you, Tariq is also a musician. Maybe he can come up with a snazzy new anthem. But we're taking James Weldon Johnson and his anthem with us. You sacrificed him. So all of these people, Marcus Garvey, you're willing to sacrifice Marcus. Stokely Carmichael, you're willing to sacrifice Stokely Carmichael. You're willing to sacrifice Kwame Ture. The leading figures in Black nationalism, Black power, Pan-Africanism, whatever name you want to call it. You're willing to give up the leading figures in those movements, which have been movements Black Americans or so-called FBA have been a part of for years. But you're willing to give that all up. And for what? For who? You're willing to give up all of these great leaders, all of these great men and women. For what? For who? Tariq Nasheed? The pimp? The pimp. You're willing to sacrifice Cicely Tyson. You're willing to sacrifice Colin Powell. You're willing to sacrifice W.E.B. Du Bois. You're willing to sacrifice all these great people. But we'll take them with us. You know what I mean? Y'all, you can't take any of ours. You can't take any of ours, but we can take a lot of y'all. We have rights to a lot of y'all. And when you can't keep them, you can't keep them. We taking the tether butts with us. You're gonna lose this war. But if I war, then I war. War.
We are at war, and I got the score to show. Hey, look, y'all, it's psychological, like apocalypse, y'all. It's the rise and the fall of man. It was orchestrated by his own hand, and damn, time to build up Noah's Ark again to withstand the fire next time we burn the land. And my rocket launcher goes bang, and just a few years ago, you was my man. And we shot Russians together. Now discussions are just like whatever, yeah, whatever. Cause we could declare war is over, but still keep bringing home more dead soldiers. When peace is wartime, ceases our kind to live on this planet. Just one hot granite in space, with intimations of a human race at war with itself that costed itself when...
So that's about what I wanted to talk about. You know what I mean? Like I said, it's the New Year's Eve. The new year is upon us. Indeed, the new year is upon us. And I'm hoping we can, start the new year on a new page. Maybe, we can declare peace. Hopefully we'll see somebody drop a video declaring peace, waving that white flag. You know what I mean? Because y'all can't win this war. You cannot. You know what I mean? It's a new year. And we here. Yeah, we here. And we've always been here. We've always been here. You know what I mean? We ain't going nowhere. We are just as American as you are. We may possibly be more American than you are. Remember, we really do symbolize the American dream more than anyone else. Immigrants do that. Immigrants is really what the American dream is about and what the essence of America is about. Caribbean people came here and fought for civil rights. That's what they wanted. That's what they fought for, were civil rights. You know what they didn't fight for? You know what they weren't fighting for? The same thing when immigrants come here today, when Black immigrants come here today, they don't come here for reparations. Those black immigrants that fought for civil rights weren't fighting for reparations. They were fighting for their rights. So don't try and come tell us that we're here leeching, trying to take the stuff that you've garnered for yourself. That's not why we're here. We're here for the American dream. And the American dream has nothing to do with reparations. The American dream has nothing to do with whatever you think Caribbean people or African people are taking away from you. That is not what the American dream is about. But rest assured, that's what Caribbean people and African people and everybody else is here for. They're here for the American dream. We're what's really foundational to this country. Immigrants. Not slavery. Immigrants. Let's please try to remember that. But we're not going to flaunt it. Because again, we know we're all immigrants. We all come from somewhere else. So we're not gonna get beyond ourselves. So let's hope you don't either. Or let's hope you learn to restrain ourselves and learn to love each other again. That's it for this show, peoples. I'm gonna catch y'all on the next one. Blessings to y'all. Please hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, be notified. Gonna be going live, be notified. You heard? And share something. We're trying to build this channel, So let's go, let's do it. Blessings again. Catch you on the next one.